Hey guys, what's up? It's Biscuit Boo Horror Reviews. I'm back this time with a review. It's been a while since I have really talked about anything or done anything on my channel, so I figured I'd do a review. A review I've said since I bought this movie probably a month ago that I would cover it because I've kind of made it my mission to cover all the films from this particular director. I'm of course talking about the new film from Richard Bates Jr., the new film Trash Fire. I bought this one for like $12, and I can't wait to actually watch it. But before I get into it, I want to talk about Richard Bates Jr. for a second. He's a really great filmmaker. His first feature film, which I think is his absolute best film, is a little film called Excision. It's based on a short film he made in college, and the short film is also really good. I do prefer the feature-length film. He went on to make a horror comedy called Suburban Gothic, which I also covered. I covered Excision and Suburban Gothic on my channel already. Another film I genuinely enjoyed, although I kind of missed the twisted, dark, disgusting sense of humor that Excision had. But still, it was still enjoyable. Now we get to his most recent film, Trash Fire. Trash Fire is essentially a film about a... It's essentially about this guy who has to kind of go into his own past that he's been kind of repressing and kind of ignoring for years, a lot of traumatic things that have happened in his past, and essentially has to relive them all and go through all this stuff again when him and his girlfriend become entangled in this big web of lies and murder and mystery. And I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to watching this one. I really don't know what else to say. I bought this for $12 on a whim because I knew it was the new Richard Bates Jr. flick, and I love Richard Bates Jr. as a filmmaker. And since I've already covered, I figured since I've covered like a lot of his new movies as they kind of came out, I figured I'm gonna make it my mission, at least as long as I run the channel, because I never know, I might just stop making videos one day, but I don't plan on it. But as long as I'm running the channel, I figured I'll make it kind of my tradition to cover every single movie from his as they come out on Blu-ray or DVD or when they become available to me. So, without further ado, let's check out Trash Fire. Okay, so the film opens up with the main character basically talking to his therapist about how he wanted his parents to die for the longest time so that way he could kill himself without feeling any guilt. And again, he's telling this to his therapist who has fallen asleep while he's spilling his heart out to this woman. Already the film has a very dark tone and twisted sense of humor. It's all there. It's what you want from a Richard Bates Jr. film. Next, the guy goes to dinner and with his girlfriend of 3 years, and she ends up leaving the middle of dinner. He goes into the bathroom and vomits, and she eventually even locks him out of their apartment, where she basically leaves him out there to sleep in the hall until he starts having a seizure, and she decides to let him in. So, I gotta say one thing about this movie. This film plays out a lot more like a dark comedy kind of drama than it does a horror film. There are definitely some very creepy moments, there are definitely some violent moments, and there are definitely some very horror-esque, surreal, stylish moments, very much like a lot of the dream sequences in Excision. But for the most part, it's a dark comedy. With that out of the way, I can get into the nitty-gritty of the film. The acting. What there is, well, not what there is of acting, but the acting in the film all around isn't half bad. It's not the best acting I've ever seen, but there are some very good performances. For instance, the two leads in the film, they do a very good job in the film. like a lot of Richard Bates movies, uh, the writing and the humor is very, very subversive and dark. And here, the gross humor is back. The gross humor from Excision finally makes a return in Bates' filmography. Not as gross as Excision, I should say, because Excision, a lot of the humor in that film came from jokes about necrophilia and a lot of visual gags about like vomit and stuff. Not all the humor, but a decent amount of the humor came from that. The characters in the film are honestly all absolutely fucking despicable. And that's the interesting thing about this movie. It's kind of going for a Gummo kind of thing. For those of you who don't know, the Harmony Korine film Gummo is a film I very much enjoy because all the characters are immensely unlikable and they're just terrible people. This film is very similar. All the characters are unlikable, they're bad people, they make bad decisions, and they say some really shitty things about each other. The only character I really found myself liking, like actually liking, was Owen, the main character the film is centered on. His girlfriend definitely starts out kind of definitely unlikable, but she eventually grows to become a bit more likable as the film goes on. And even though, like I said, they're despicable people and they're absolute just fucking dickheads, they're still, like I said, they're still kind of likable. In the cast, you'll see some Bates regulars, such as Matthew Gubler and Ray Santiago. Ray Santiago, who is Pablo in Ash vs. Evil Dead. They're in this film, and they were previously in Suburban Gothic. Sadly, this film does not have weird kind of horror cameos like Suburban Gothic or Excision did. Excision had like Malcolm McDowell. They had Ray Wise from Twin Peaks. They had fucking director of one of the greatest exploitation movies ever, John Waters, as a priest. And even in Suburban Gothic, they even had a cameo from fucking Jeffrey Combs. Here, as far as I could tell, I didn't recognize any cameos. If there were any cameos, then they might have been from obscure movies or TV shows that I haven't really seen before. But on a technical level, everything is great. Not the acting, but the editing, the way it's shot, sound mix, the lighting, all very, very good. The stylized moments are very well put together. And I do genuinely like the music in this movie. Especially the music that plays over the end credits. I think it's kind of fitting. On the gore meter from 1 to 10, 1 being something like Nosferatu and 10 being something like Brain Dead, Trashfire sits at a solid 3. It really isn't as bad gore-wise as Excision was, which Excision I think sat at like a 5 maybe. This and the Bates' previous film, Suburban Gothic, I think sat at maybe like a 1. Like, it was primarily not violent. Here, there's a decent amount of violence, and I've got to fucking say, on the back of the case to this movie, it has a quote from BloodyDisgusting.com that says, "One harsh movie." Now, I used to trust Bloody Disgusting, kinda don't trust them anymore, but I've gotta say, for once, something they said about a movie, I gotta say that is 100% true. This movie is harsh as hell. It's not like Martyrs level of like disturbing and harsh, or Serbian film level, but going in after seeing Suburban Gothic and thinking it was pretty decent, and after hearing this movie wasn't that good, and getting an ending like that was genuinely surprising and shocking, even from a filmmaker who has done an ending similar to that before. I've got to say, this film is way better than what Suburban Gothic was. Suburban Gothic, I still liked. I thought it was funny, but it just wasn't twisted enough, wasn't dark enough. for me. This is exactly what I want from a Richard Bates Jr. film. A dark film that's not too violent, but it's got some good violence. It's kind of creepy, it's twisted, it's funny, it's dark. It's nearly as good as Excision, like almost towards the level of what I loved about Excision. Excision is still probably my favorite. This one's a very close second. I gotta say, I really enjoyed this film. I'm pretty sure it is on Netflix streaming in the U.S. currently, so I don't quote me on that because I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure I saw it on there the other day. I really enjoyed this movie. It's not going to be a movie for everybody. Like a lot of the movies I talk about, it's not for everybody. But I would say if you got some free time, you got a Netflix subscription, or you got an extra $12 laying around, go check out this movie. I think it's worth the money. I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. And this is Biscuit Boo Horror Reviews signing off. Peace. Fuck.